Hello students, today we shall continue about lecture number 9 in Principles of Inheritance and Variation. In the previous class, I was telling you about a dihybrid cross. Dihybrid cross performed by Mendel we were discussing in the previous class. You may recall Mendel performed his experiments in Pisum sativum. What is dihybrid cross means? It is also known as two-gene inheritance. Here we take two different characters and how they get inherited to the next generation. When Mendel performed dihybrid cross in Pisum sativum, he got 9:3:3:1 ratio as phenotypic ratio of F1, F2 generation. In F2 generation, he got 9:3:3:1 as the phenotypic ratio. If you analyze this phenotypic ratio, just recall once again whatever I told you already. In this 9:3:3:1, we are getting the round yellow as 9 times actually, or 9 ratio like that, round yellow, and round green we got 3 times or 3 ratio like this, 3 here, and as well as wrinkled yellow. If you consider wrinkled yellow, it was around 3 times, and wrinkled green if we take means it is around 1 time we have seen. This is the expansion of 9:3:3:1 ratio. So, in this 9:3:3:1 ratio, you can observe both round and yellow are dominant characters. Round is dominant with reference to shape. Yellow is dominant with reference to color. So we can call it as a double dominant condition. Here in the round green, this is a single dominant character we can say, because round is dominant over wrinkled and green is a recessive character. This is called a single dominant character. When we observe wrinkled yellow, yellow is dominant whereas wrinkled is recessive. In that case, it is also a single dominant character. Wrinkled green is a double recessive character we can say. What do we understand from this ratio means? This ratio here, the segregation of shape alleles will be independent of the segregation of color alleles. Color allele and shape allele do not blend each other, they will segregate independently of each other. For example, if we want to get a round green character means there will be capital R, small y, then only it will become a single dominant round green. If we want to get a round wrinkled yellow means there must be small r, capital Y, like that we can get some gamete, some offspring. In a round yellow, there will be capital R, capital Y, or sometimes double heterozygous will also be there. But when we consider this one, we may think that capital R will always remain with capital Y like that. It is not like that. Actually, here if you see means capital R can join either with the small y or with the capital Y also. Capital R can join with capital Y also as well as small y also. That freedom is called independence or independent assortment. If you take small r means, here in this wrinkled green if you see means small r, small y. Small r can remain either with capital Y or with the small y also. The small r cannot say that I will combine with the small y only. Capital R cannot say that it will combine with capital Y only. They have got freedom to assort, freedom to join among themselves. This freedom was explained by Mendel through a law actually. That law is called as law of independent assortment we are telling. It is known as law of independent assortment. Already we have seen two laws proposed by Mendel. One is called law of dominance, another one is called law of segregation. For both laws, both those laws, we have given example from monohybrid cross. In a dihybrid cross, we are getting another law called law of independent assortment. There was one more law previously, law of unit characters, but that is not proposed by Mendel. It's a general character we can take. When we come to the law of independent assortment, what it states means, what Mendel told in this statement means, when two pairs of traits, I will write this statement as it is, when two pairs of traits are combined in a hybrid, the alleles of one pair will segregate. One pair will segregate independently of other pair or another pair. This is known as law of independent assortment. The alleles of one pair will segregate independently of another pair. What is the meaning of two pairs of traits means? We are taking capital R, capital Y, like this. Four alleles we are taking. That is called two pairs. Four alleles are two pairs. So it can be called as two pairs of traits, or it can be called as two characters also. Two character means one is shape, another one is color. These are the two characters. In the shape there are two traits. One is round, another one is wrinkled. Similarly, here in color there are two types. One is yellow, another one is green. So totally four traits are taken, but two characters are taken. Either you can write it as two pairs of traits, or you can write as two characters. You should not, when you use the word character, we need not use pairs. So it is when two pairs of traits are combined in a hybrid, the alleles of one pair will segregate independently of another pair. For example, this is one hybrid, we can say. Here two pairs of traits are brought together. Imagine another hybrid which we got in the F1 offspring of dihybrid cross. Capital R, small r, capital Y, small y we got. What he is telling is the alleles of one pair will segregate independently of another pair. These two are alleles of one pair. That means one character. The alleles of one character will segregate the alleles of another character, we can say here. So, alleles of one character, that is shape. These two are alleles of color. Alleles of shape will segregate independently of alleles of color. That is called independent assortment. Imagine now this capital R, small r is there. How they will produce gamete? With reference to shape. It is able to produce two types of gametes. One is with capital R, another one is with small r. These are the two gametes. Produced with reference to shape only. Let us consider when they produce two types of gametes means this is 50%, this is 50%. Similarly, alleles of color, they will also be produced in two forms. One type of gamete will be with capital Y, another type of gamete will be with a small y, they will produce. Now we got four alleles, otherwise two pairs of gametes. The alleles of one character will segregate independently of another character. Capital R and small r will segregate independent of capital Y and small y. When capital R is segregating, it need not take capital Y along with it. It can combine with or it can take capital Y or small y also. there is a chance for this capital R either to combine with capital Y or to combine with a small y. This will be responsible for getting a new character called round green. Remember, when an individual gets capital R, small y, we are getting round green. Remember, we never took round green in dihybrid cross. We took round yellow and wrinkled green only as parents. But in F2 generation, we got two new characters. One is round green and another one is wrinkled yellow. What is the meaning of that? Capital R has got freedom either to join with capital Y or to join with small y. How is it possible? Only when they segregate and then when they form the gamete. This gamete has got 50% chance to join with capital Y, or this has got another 50% chance to join with the small y, because this side two types of eggs are produced, or the same pollen grains or egg we can take if you consider it as one sex of the parent. Similarly, this small r has got the ability to join with capital Y or small y of another parent. Imagine this is one hybrid. I am taking another hybrid here. It will produce an egg or this one with two types of gametes. Let us take, okay, this is two types of gametes, capital R, small r, capital Y, small y, like this they are getting. Now these are anthrozoid or pollen. If you imagine, this will become the egg. Egg will be here, but when it is dihybrid, the gamete will have capital R, capital Y one gamete, capital R, small y one gamete, small r, capital Y will be one gamete, small r, small y will be one gamete. Because how these four types of gametes are possible? Because of independent assortment. Capital R has got independence either to join with capital Y or to join with small y. Small r has got freedom, independence either to join with capital Y or to join with small y. Similarly, here also pollen grain will be produced with either this gamete or capital R small y or small r capital Y and small r small y. Why we are taking the two alleles in a gamete? Because it is a dihybrid cross. Each gamete should have alleles of both character. Isn't it? Then only they will become dihybrid gamete. Here in this gamete, it has got one allele for shape, another allele for color. When both are there, it will be called as dihybrid cross. Now capital R, capital Y gamete is possible. Capital R, small y gamete is possible. Small r, capital Y, small r, small y. This is possible. That is why they are able to join with another opposite gamete here, and they are able to produce round green and wrinkled yellow. These two are called as recombinant varieties, we can say. Round green and this one, wrinkled yellow are called recombinants. Whereas round yellow and wrinkled green, these two are original characters. They are called parental variety. I hope you may be remembering the parental versus recombinant ratio will be 10:6 in a dihybrid cross. 9 plus 1, this 10 is becoming parental. 3 plus 3, these 6 are becoming recombinant. That is called 10:6 ratio. You can understand the dihybrid cross phenotypic ratio based on law of independent assortment. Very important 5-mark question in board examination. Remember, explain law of independent assortment with reference to an example they can ask. What is law of independent assortment? When two pairs of traits are combined in a hybrid, the alleles of one pair or character will segregate independently of another pair or character. Alleles of shape will segregate independently and join with alleles of color randomly, or that independently, freedom with freedom, they can join. Capital R, capital small y is possible. That is why it is possible to get round green. So how do we get recombinant? Because they have got independent assortment. If capital R tells that I will be with capital Y only, means We will always get round yellow only. It is not possible to get round green, is it not? How do we get round green? It is because of law of independent assortment. Formation of recombinant is depending upon what? Law of independent assortment. I hope you understand this point. I will give you half a minute time. Write down these points. Let us continue. Okay, students, let us continue. So, from Mendelian dihybrid cross, we have understood a point that recombinants are able to be produced because of independent assortment. Alleles of, when you take two characters, alleles of one character will segregate irrespective of the alleles of another character. That is called independent assortment. That is responsible for the formation of round green and wrinkled yellow. So we have, just let me make one point here to whether you have understood this concept clearly or not. We have studied three laws based on Mendel's experiment. One is law of dominance, another one is law of segregation, third one is law of independent assortment. Imagine, law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment. We have done, or we have studied two experiments, two types of experiments performed by Mendel. One is called monohybrid cross, another one is called dihybrid cross. Is it or not? So monohybrid cross means one gene inheritance. Dihybrid cross means two gene inheritance. Now let me tell you whether these laws are applicable to both of these crosses or any one of them only. For example, law of dominance we will take. Law of dominance is applicable to monohybrid cross, that we understood. So it is applicable to monohybrid cross. When you cross round and wrinkled, you will get round only. When you cross yellow and green, you will get yellow only. That is dominance. Okay. Similarly, whether it is applicable for dihybrid cross or not, whether law of dominance is applicable to dihybrid cross or not, let us check here. Imagine in a dihybrid cross, what a hybrid you are getting? Capital R, small r, capital Y, small y you are getting. Whether law of dominance is operating here or not, it is operating. This individual will be round yellow phenotypically. Even though it has got a small r, it has become round only. Even though it has got small y, it has become yellow only. So what is the meaning? Capital R dominates over small r. Capital Y dominates over small y. Alleles of same character will dominate. I told you. This is what the capital R dominates here. So law of dominance is applicable in dihybrid cross also. Are you getting this point? We are getting round yellow hybrid means, dihybrid means. What is the meaning? Dominance is operating. Even though small r is there, it is not applicable. Right. When we come to law of segregation. What is law of segregation? Alleles of the same character will separate from each other during gametogenesis. Please remember, whenever you perform a hybridization cross, definitely gametes should be formed. Gametogenesis should take place. During gametogenesis, segregation happens. It was proved by Mendel. So capital T comes one side, small t comes one side. Capital R comes one side, small r comes one side. Similarly, capital Y, small y, they segregate naturally. Whenever there is a sexual reproduction, Whenever there is a hybridization based on sexual reproduction, there will be segregation automatically happening. So law of segregation is applicable to monohybrid cross, as well as it is applicable to dihybrid cross also. That is what we have seen. This dihybrid can produce 4 types of gametes we have seen. One is capital R small y, capital R capital Y, small r capital Y, small r small y. How is this 4 gametes are possible? Due to segregation. Capital R segregated from small r. Capital Y segregated from small y, isn't it? These two will say this is segregation, this is segregation. Please remember, difference between segregation and independent assortment. Segregation is possible with reference to one character. With reference to shape, these two will segregate. With reference to color, these two will segregate. But after segregation, they could assort randomly. Capital R has got freedom either to join with capital Y or to join with small y. That's why they have produced this type of gametes. That is independent assortment, whereas segregation operates at a single character level. Now segregation is operating here also. In dihybrid cross also they segregate. This is the point. In dihybrid cross also gametogenesis takes place. Wherever gametogenesis takes place, you will come across segregation. Shall we go to independent assortment? What is independent assortment? When 2 pairs of traits or when 2 characters are combined in a hybrid. In monohybrid cross, how many characters we take? Only one character is monohybrid. One gene inheritance. Otherwise, one pair of trait. So, when there is one pair of trait, there won't be independent assortment. There will be segregation. There will be dominance, but no independent assortment. Then when the independent assortment will occur? It will occur only from dihybrid cross. So what about trihybrid cross? For example, if you take 3 characters, there also dominant will be possible. If not, incomplete dominance or codominance. Phenomenon of dominance will be possible. And there also segregation will be possible because gametes should be produced. During gametogenesis, segregation is possible. Independent assortment is also possible. So when independent assortment comes into picture, only when you take more than one character. When you take only one character, there is no independent quotient, there is segregation. When you take more than one character, segregation will happen during gametogenesis, assortment will happen and fertilization will happen with independent assortment. So, in this is the application of these laws. I hope you understood the concept clearly. Law of dominance is applicable in almost all the type of hybridization crosses. Law of segregation is applicable wherever gametogenesis is possible. Law of independent assortment is possible only when there is involvement of more than one character. If there are 2 characters, 3 characters, we will have independent assortment. When there is only one character, there is no question of independence. It will segregate and get inherited. But with whom it will join, there is no question. It does not have any other pair here. So, this is independent assortment. Please make note of this chart. It will be useful for your revision and understanding or clearing the concept here. Okay. Please make note. Okay, students, you might have completed this part. Imagine dihybrid cross phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1. It is nothing but the two monohybrid crosses. When you take a monohybrid cross phenotypic ratio, it is 3:1. When you multiply this 2, 3:1, 3:1 means you will get same 9:3:3:1 we can say. So based on this mathematical application, Mendel gave one idea. Genes are discrete units, he told. They are discrete unit. That means independent unit, they behave independently, they don't blend with each other. They do not blend. So genes do not blend, they are discrete, separate unit, he told. And because these ratios are in the form of mathematical expression also, just they behave as independent unit only, Mendel believed. He did not use the word gene, of course he used the word factors, we know this point. In 1865, Mendel published his law in a place called Brunn. That law is called, those laws are called principles of inheritance in hybridization experiments, like that he published one thing. But during that time, there were many reasons why Mendelian theories were not accepted. Already we discussed about this point. Up to 1900, Mendelian theories were not rediscovered or not accepted with popularity. Why in 1865 it was discarded? I told you several reasons. One is Brunn is a small place which is not mainly known for this one, scientific temperament like that, or scientific publications like that. So communication was very less during that time with reference to Brunn or the place where he published. Second one is during that time period only, Darwin's theory was becoming more popular and people were studying about evolution, and we did not concentrate on a separate branch called genetics. So Darwin's theory became more popular during that time. That is one more reason. It has shadowed the Mendelian principles, we can say here. There is a third reason also. Application of mathematical knowledge with biology is not accepted by most of the scientists. So mathematical knowledge in biology was not accepted by most of the this one. Then there is one more reason. Mendel said that factors are discrete, but that is also factors are discrete units. That is also not accepted by scientists. They did not believe that factors or genes will be discrete, separate unit, so that they will evolve separately. That idea they did not accept. Because Darwin was telling evolution is taking place gradually, all these things. And when it is discrete unit, suddenly evolution could take place. So such a confusion was there, and factors are discrete, that was not accepted. Application of mathematical knowledge was in biology was not welcomed at those times. Darwin's theory overshadowed Mendelian principle, and Brunn is not a big place for scientific achievements and all. Apart from this, there was one more problem also. Existence of factor or existence of gene was not given any proof by the Mendel. Existence of factor was not proved by Mendel. Mendel told that factors are there. They govern the character, he told. But where are those factors? Where do they lie? He could not tell. In our body or in the pea body or any other plant body, where do we come across these factors? Where do they exist? That could not be explained by Mendel. So due to these reasons, Mendelian principles were not made popular during that time. In 1900, you may be remembering, 3 scientists have rediscovered Mendelian principle, namely Karl Karens, von Schermark and Hugo de Vries. About them I told you in the previous classes also. After 1900, around the year 1902, we have come across some improvement in the scientific world. That is development of microscope or discovery of microscope and modifications of microscope with some more high resolution power and other things. They made some contribution for understanding genetics. 1902 or in that range only, Fleming and another important scientist gave some idea about cell division also. During that period, cell biology became more popular. Study about cell and the constituents and the behavior of cell, everything became more popular during that period. Fleming studied about cell division like meiosis also. Even his ideas contributed for mitosis also. Strasburger, Fleming and like other scientists, they have given some idea about mitosis and meiosis. By two scientists in 1902 like that, two more scientists, very important scientists, namely Sutton and Boveri. Sutton and Boveri, these two scientists also studied more about cell biology. They too developed interest with reference to Mendelian principle. Then they correlated both the ideas. The behavior of cell during meiosis and the behavior of factors during inheritance, they are having some relation, they believed. So what they did means, when they analyzed this Fleming over the meiosis and other process like prophase, metaphase, anaphase and all, they came across chromosome behavior also. Based on that, Sutton and Boveri contributed one theory in the field of genetics during the year 1902. What is the theory means? It is called as chromosomal theory of inheritance. Chromosomal theory of inheritance. We are going to concentrate in the later part of this lecture. Chromosomal theory of inheritance. According to chromosomal theory, Sutton and Boveri believed that chromosomes are having the factors in them. When Mendel could not prove the existence of factor, Sutton and Boveri told an idea, an hypothesis that genes are present, located in the chromosome only. That is why the behavior of genes and the behavior of chromosomes are same only. They too segregate. Chromosomes also segregate during anaphase. In first year, you have studied about mitosis and meiosis. During anaphase, homologous chromosomes separate. We have studied. During metaphase, they come and lie in the equatorial plane. During anaphase, they segregate. So chromosomes do segregate from each other. Similarly, genes also segregate. That's what told by segregation, law of segregation. Chromosomes do assert independently. That is what Mendel also told. Genes assert independently. Of course, Mendel did not know the word gene at all. He used the word factor. And he could not tell where that factor is located. He just told factors are discrete unit. They behave independently. That is called discretion. Here, the existence was not told. So what Sutton and Boveri did means, by studying Fleming's observation and by analyzing Mendelian principles, they amalgamated both the ideas. Cell division and gene inheritance, both were amalgamated. They proposed a theory called chromosomal theory of inheritance. So what they told is, chromosomes and genes are behaving similar. For that, three evidences they told. What are the evidences? Imagine this paragraph. A 3-mark question can be asked. What is the correlation between genes and chromosomes? They explained here. Please listen. Genes also occur in pairs. What Mendel told about genes? They occur in pairs. One is paternal allele, another one is maternal allele. Chromosomes also occur in pairs. That is the first idea proposed by Sutton and Boveri in their chromosomal theory of inheritance. Genes also occur in pairs Chromosomes also occur in pairs. You have heard the word homologous pair of chromosome. What is the meaning of that word homologous pair? That is the condition. Okay, they also occur in pair. Second point is genes undergo segregation. Alleles undergo segregation. That is what told by law of segregation by Mendel. Capital T and small t will separate from each other. Capital R and small r will separate from each other. Capital Y and small y will separate from each other. That separation is called segregation. Even chromosomes also undergo segregation during anaphase. Yes or no? During anaphase, there will be spindle fiber formation. Even during metaphase itself, they become very clear. And the chromosomes are started to be pulled towards the poles. So, that pulling of chromosome is nothing but separation of chromosomes. Homologous chromosome will separate from each other. Please remember, dear students, just remember this point. Imagine this is one chromosome, this is one chromosome. These two are called homologous chromosome. Why means? If this chromosome has got one allele for shape called capital R means, this chromosome will also have allele for shape only in that position. Position of gene is called locus, I told you. In the same locus, they have alleles. They may be homozygous allele if they are capital R, or they may be heterozygous allele if they are capital R, small r. These two chromosomes are called as what? Homologous chromosome. How do we get a homologous pair of chromosome? One is from father, paternal. Another one is from mother, that is maternal. Father gives one chromosome, mother gives one chromosome. For example, I am telling, of course, we human beings inherit 23 like that. So here one is paternal, another one is maternal. This paternal chromosome has got a particular character in this position means same character will occur in the same position only. Here capital R, here small r, like that it will not occur. Same locus. That is what called homologous chromosome. So we get homologous chromosome. During anaphase, the homologous chromosomes separate from each other. That is segregation. Now imagine when the chromosomes are segregating like this. Chromosomes do not segregate transversely. They segregate longitudinally. Like that, they separate means this capital R will go one side, small r will go one side. So wherever chromosome goes, there and all factors or gene will also go. So that is why they are parallel, otherwise they are together, and that is the theory called chromosomal theory of inheritance. So far Mendel spoke about alleles or factors, but Sutton and Boveri correlated that factor with the chromosome, because behavior of chromosome and behavior of alleles both are similar. These two will also separate. This capital R, small r also separate. They are also occurring in pair. These are also occurring in pair. Why that parity has come? Because of diploid nature. Two haploid gametes contribute their chromosome. We become diploid. So that parity has come here. They occur in pairs. They segregate during gametogenesis. After segregation, what they will do? They can assort randomly. Random assortment, independent assortment is possible. Between whom? Between not the alleles of same character, but between the alleles of two different characters. This is one character. Let us consider second paternal, second maternal. Here capital Y is there, here small y is there. They will also undergo segregation. They will also separate. These two are homologous pair. These two are homologous pair. They are also separated. This will separate of this one. This will separate of this one. After separating, capital R and capital Y can come together in a gamete, or small r, capital Y can also come in one gamete. That is called independent assortment. So in genes also independent assortment is proved by Mendel with reference to his dihybrid cross. Similarly, chromosome also undergo independent assortment. This is the theory called chromosomal theory of inheritance, proposed by whom? Sutton and Boveri. Based on what? Based on their observation with reference to meiosis as well as study about Mendel. So Mendelian factor were correlated with Fleming's chromosome, we can say. In one way, chromosomal behavior and gene behavior are matching with each other. They are similar to each other. That theory is called as chromosomal theory of inheritance. Still we have to give some proof for this. I will explain about meiosis with reference to gene behavior in the later classes. And lastly, one point is, in a dihybrid cross, phenotypic ratio is 9:3:3:1, whereas genotypic ratio will be, this 9 can be written as 1:2:4. How 1:2:4 came, we saw in the previous class. That means heterozygosity, homozygosity, double homozygous, double heterozygous, and we have seen. That 1:2:4 is nothing but 9. This 3 can be written as 1:2. This is 3. This 3 can be written as 1:2. That 3. And the last one is here. 1:2:4, 1:2, 1:2 and 1. This is genotypic ratio of what? Of dihybrid cross F2 generation. F2 genotypic ratio is 1:2:4. 1:2, 1:2 and 1. What is that 1:2:4? It is nothing but 9. What is that 1:2? 3. Another 1:2 is 3 and 1 is here. So that is depending, what is genotypic? Genetic makeup. Genetic makeup can be either homozygous or heterozygous. When you take double character, 2 characters, it will be double homozygous or double heterozygous, single homozygous, single heterozygous, like that various forms are there. One with one example, round yellow means either it can be capital R, capital R, capital Y, capital Y. Or it can be capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. Or it can be capital R, capital R, capital Y, small y. Or otherwise, capital R, small r, capital Y also. Round yellow. So in 4 genotypes it can occur. That 4 is 1:2:2:1. Please compare this with your checkerboard you have done in the previous class, and remember this point. 9 exists in the form of 1:2:2:4. 3 exists in the form of 1:2. Another 3 exists in the form of 1:2. Round wrinkled green is nothing but 1. So this is genotypic ratio of F2 generation. That is phenotypic ratio of F2 generation. In today's class, I explained you what is law of independent assortment, as well as I told you about chromosomal theory of inheritance. Why Mendelian theory was not accepted also we have discussed something. This can be asked in 3 mark question. Chromosomal theory was many times asked in board examination for 3 marks. So genes also occur in pair, chromosome also occur in pair. Genes also segregate, chromosome also segregate. Genes also undergo independent assortment, chromosome also undergo independent assortment. What do we infer from this comparison? We understand that genes are existing on chromosomes. That is the chromosomal theory of inheritance. Mendel could not tell the existence of factor, but Sutton and Boveri told factors are existing on chromosome. Why? Because both of them are following same principle. Both of them occur in pair, both of them could segregate, both of them will undergo independent assortment. Let me stop with this. We shall continue about experimental proof for this chromosomal theory in the next class. Okay, let us continue. Thank you very much.